But I think the first thing to talk about, because Chris loves talking about film stuff. Have you seen the trailer for Aladdin, the live action Aladdin?
I have. And I love when you say we have to do a quick episode and start off with Aladdin chat. It looks so mad that I'm kind of coming on board.
It's definitely better than the teaser trailer they released a few months ago.
Yeah,
more
for
people
sure.
are liking it. I'm still. It looks fine, but the thing is with me, Chris, I'm a bit of a. I love the mouse. He's my boy. I love the mouse. Everything they do, everything he does. But Aladdin, I was never a massive fan of Aladdin. To be honest with you, it was never one of my favorites. So with all the live action remakes this year, don't know how bothered I am. We've got Dumbo, we've got Aladdin, and we've also got Lion King as well this year.
Oh yeah, that's this year.
I'm more hyped for Toy Story 4 and Frozen 2. They're the two things I'm more bothered about. Both coming out this year as well.
Yeah, Disney are going to have a mad year, aren't they? I feel, you know what I'm like with Toy Story. You know how closely connected I feel to that franchise and those characters.
Yeah.
I feel like a bit of a bad boy because I'm more excited, Colin, for there's one animated film coming out that I'm more excited for than Toy Story, and that is Detective Pikachu.
Oh, of course. Well, that's not really an animation, is it? Live action.
Oh yeah, you're right. They got real Pokemon in, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like half and half, isn't it? It's like a mix.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one as well. That's May, isn't it? That's coming out soon.
Yes, it is May.
Very excited for that. That's going to be tops. I just think that's going to be great. It's just a good year for films. It's good. It's a good old year, and they've announced they will potentially be doing a sequel to Bohemian Rhapsody.
Really?
Yeah, well, they're in talks. I think the idea is that they're going to start it from the second film would start where the first one ended, so at the end of the Live Aid performance, and then go on from there.
Okay, yeah, I'm feeling that, and then go all the way out to the death in the 90s. I feel like I really hope that if they do a sequel, they feel more like they can touch on the nature of Freddie's relationships with men, because it's not very. I feel like they're a little bit coy about the fact that he was not straight. I'm not sure, was he gay or was he bi?
He was gay.
He was married, wasn't he? But gay.
I think he was gay. I mean, it is said about in the film. It's mentioned that he says he's bi, but then his then wife said, "No, you're gay."
Oh
Freddie.
Yes, of course. She's like, "You're gay, Freddie." Yeah.
But I mean, it's weird. Whenever there was anything serious in that film, they sort of skirted the subject, like to of his illness or his relationships or anything like that. It didn't. It was very paper thin view. It was like mentioned, then skipped on to the next big Queen song or them in the studio or something.
Well, it's kind of like the Greatest Showman vibes, where it's sort of like, hey, here's his cool customer with his nice coat and his big songs, and let's not talk about the fact that he calls his colleagues a freak show. Let's have another massive hit from Pasek and Paul.
And let's not reference the fact he's a racist. Anyway, let's move on. Right, so we're heroes of Handheld, and you'll be surprised to hear after that initial talk, we talk about handheld gaming devices and have done for many a year now. This is episode 248. I'm Colin. That's Chris. And we're going to go straight in because we've got a few bits of news to talk about this week. Not much, sort of not a big news week, but I think the biggest thing this week in terms of people talking about this on social media and all over the internet was more details were dropped for Harry Potter Wizards Unite, which is the upcoming game from Niantic and Warner Brothers Studios San Francisco, I believe. And obviously Niantic, we love it, it. Pokemon Go is our boy, and it's from the same developer, so it's going to be using a lot of the same features with AR and locations and things like that and catching things. But a few days ago, they actually revealed a load more details as to what you'll actually be doing in-game, because before this, it was all very up in the air as to what you'll actually be doing. It was mentioned that creatures would be in there and catching creatures or something like that, so very similar to Pokemon Go. But we've got a bit more of a story now. I mean, this was revealed through the actual official website, Harry Potter's Wizards Unite. And I've also read a really cool in-depth article from IGN, actually, because they've had some hands-on gameplay. They played a demo for it. And it's very interesting what they're saying. It seems at the moment, a lot of people are pretty positive on it. I mean, after the initial launch of Pokemon Go all those years ago, is it 2 years ago or 3 years ago?
3 years in June.
No way, that's crazy. I remember when it initially came out, it was crashing. People couldn't open up the app. There was like that joke, wasn't it? Like that meme where, you know, the loading screen, like it like the meme of the guy where his face is like looking excited, but then when it gets to the error loading screen, he's like, it's just memes like that. But I'm hoping now with all the how they've improved Pokemon Go, that the launch for this game will be a lot smoother. I'd imagine initially, as you'd expect from a Harry Potter game, there will be quite a big uptake, so they need to be prepared for that. But anyway, so what we have found out, so the game is all based around something that's happened in the Wizarding World called the Calamity. They're actually calling it the Calamity, and it's actually the mystery of the Calamity. And this is where objects, witches, wizards, magical objects, creatures have all gone from the Wizarding World out into the real world, and you've been tasked with catching these creatures and bringing them back to the Harry Potter, well, not Harry Potter world, but the Wizarding World, and to not get rid of the secret. It's something called the Secrecy Act or something like that, where the statutory of wizards and muggles or something like that, basically to keep the gap between muggles and the Wizarding World, to keep the Wizarding World secret from muggles intact. So we've got a load of details here in terms of how the gameplay, how it's going to go. It's very similar. I mean, reading along the lines, they've obviously taken most of the features you get in Pokemon Go and they've reskinned it and rejigged it a little bit for this game, as you'd expect, really. I mean, similar to Pokemon Go, you're going to see a world, you'll see a map, and you'll be able to see where creatures are. It seems to be a lot more, the game seems to be influencing or wanting you to do AR a lot more than potentially Pokemon Go, where there's various scenes where it will look better with AR, where it's actually in the real world. But we'll wait and see how many people do that and how much battery it drains, because honestly, the battery on my phone at the moment is absolutely awful. I can barely open Pokemon Go without like collapsing in front of me, which is really annoying because I've got to the 2-year point on my iPhone, and you know what happens after 2 years? The batteries just completely cave in and are really annoying. But anyway, to go into more detail as to the character you're playing, you've been brought in by the Statute of Secrecy Task Force, and you're either a wizard or a witch, obviously, and it's up to you to try and get these items back into the Wizarding World. And what's interesting is it's going to take place in the modern day. It's not a prequel, it's not before Harry Potter, it's not after Harry Potter, it's actually happening in modern day. So obviously they've said there's going to be references, there are references to the Wizarding World that people know from Harry Potter. There's also going to be, they've hinted that there'll be voiceovers for the tutorials from actors from the actual film itself.
Who do you want to guess? I don't know. My guess is that it's Warwick Davies.
Yes, yeah, that would be a good one. It's got to be a teacher, hasn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
You'd love Maggie Smith, but you don't think she'd do it. She's probably got a lot of, she'd probably just like, no, I don't want to do that. No, I'm too busy filming the Downton Abbey film. Who else? Gambon? Maybe not him.
Oh, that's a good shout.
Tom
I just
Felton.
think because Warwick Davis does. Yeah, that's true. Warwick Davis, Tom Felton, both still do so much Harry Potter stuff. That's why I kind of think it might be them.
Yeah, they're the ones that are always up for it, aren't they? Like, have you ever been to the Warner Brothers tour in Watford?
Yes, yeah.
There's a lot of Warwick Davis is in a lot of the videos when they're going through the prosthetics and the makeup and stuff. Yeah, a bit in the little warehouse bit in the tour. If you haven't been to the tour, it's great. It's great. Anyway, so first thing to note, you're not really creating a character in this game. You just get an ID badge. So you know in the actual game there's like a little character of you. Apparently you don't get that in this one. You're just getting an ID badge which says what your role is in the Wizarding World. So that's the first thing to point out. But in terms of going, in terms of like gameplay things you do, obviously you've got to catch these creatures, and there's 2 parts to it. I need to find what they've called it. I think it was you got to find, they're called foundables, which are the creatures that are in the Wizarding World, and to save, or I say save, or to get them back into the Wizarding World, you've got to do like a mini game. Obviously in Harry Potter and in Pokemon Go, you throw the Pokeball, but in this one, there's different things that are keeping them in this world. There might be they might be chained up, there might be a spell, and there's various things you have to do. It looks like in the most part it's tracing a line or something like that, or flicking left, right. It probably will take inspiration from the Harry Potter game. I've got on my phone, the name of it's just escaped me. What was it called? Harry Potter
Hogwarts Mystery.
That was it. That's top. I've still got it on my phone. I do play it sporadically. You know, when you're getting killed by Devil's Snare and you have to pay money to save your wizard. Which wizard? That was good. Anyway, so yes, you've got to try and save these items or get these things back into the wizarding world by doing mini games, and there's various different things depending on what the item is and how you'll get them back. Aside from that, there's going to be port keys in the game, which is taking influence from the Pokemon Go's egg hatching with the incubators. So the further you walk a port key, you can then open up a link. Obviously, port keys will transport you to other places, and a port key will transport you to a place in the wizarding world. So you'd assume with this, you need to have AR on, because you go on the port key and you'll end up in, like a classroom, someone's office, or in Ollivander's or something like that. And then
there's a GIF on the Harry Potter Wizards Unite website of someone placing a port key, and essentially they're in a park, and you drag using AR Plus, you drag your boot around and put it down. The boot, I guess, is the port key, and then like a spiral thing opens up, and it's like a it shows you the inside of like I guess it's like an office or something. So
it reminds me of Oblivion, that going through the Oblivion gate.
Yeah, for sure. It's worth. I would say it's really worth looking at the GIFs on the Harry Potter website, because it does give you a sense of how these kind of things will work in VR. And I think in AR. And I think, Colin, you're really right in that you can play Pokemon Go without augmented reality really at all, apart from catching a couple of legendaries. But this looks a lot more like it's going to be based on augmented reality.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's going to be a big part in it for the full enjoyment of it. There is a really cool GIF here of there's Ron Weasley, and there's a big spider. It's a Boggart. You're saying ridiculous. It gets skates and it gets shoved back into a wardrobe. That's a really cool little nod there. I like that. A few more things to mention about this. There's going to be their own version of gyms, which you get in Pokemon Go. They're going to be called fortresses in this one, which is where you can team up up to 5 players, and you go through a fortress. There's different levels, and there's different magical beings you'll have to fight. So there's apparently there's rumors that there could be Death Eaters in them. Famous Death Eaters will make an appearance. Dementors and random, dark creatures like that will be in there. So that's gonna be interesting. So they've obviously, as I've said, they've taken all these elements from Pokemon Go, which they have at their disposal, and they've reskinned it in quite a good way, which makes it enough different to make it more interesting and not just a complete rehash of Pokemon Go. And also,
I'm really just you talking about the fortresses there. Something reading through this press release, something that kind of struck me is how it's going to be very surreal to play this game where everyone is on the same team, presumably, because in Pokemon Go
you can choose a team,
but you can choose a profession.
Yeah.
But
which I assume is a team, you'd imagine.
Oh, see, I thought that was just like
it does
level ups, because you can't pick. Presumably, you can't be a Death Eater.
Oh no! You can either be an aura, a magic zoologist, or a professor. And from what I've seen, I think auras have got really good attack. Magic zoologists are, I guess, more intelligent or something, and professors are all round good.
Yeah, in fact, it says here, team up and strategize with witches and wizards from other professions to tip the scales in your favor.
Okay. So
it's kind of
teams. That's good.
It's interesting reading this, because there does seem to be much more of a. If you remember when Pokemon Go launched, the only real multiplayer you could do, you could take down gyms together, but you could play the game entirely solo. Whereas looking at this, it does look like there is going to be a lot more of a focus on like social play.
Yeah, I think so. Which is good.
Could be really good for, well, it depends how accessible it is, because for some people, this is the problem Pokemon Go has. In rural areas, it's very, very difficult to get the numbers together. But in busy cities, it's a much bigger thing. So anyway, I'm going to enlist because I'm quite interested in playing this. I think it does look quite interesting.
I think they're learning from the mistakes they made with the Pokemon Go launch,
definitely,
the social side of things and things like that. And you'd hope, as I said that before, that the launch will go smoothly, because they'll be prepared. Because I've seen so many people talking about this on Instagram, Facebook, like people who aren't normally into games, because it's got the Harry Potter name on it. It's like Pokemon Go. When that first, obviously the player base isn't as big as it was initially back in the day, but it had such a huge launch, and I'm sure this will have a massive launch as well. I just hope they're prepared. We don't want the issues with servers and not being able to actually play it, because that will just be annoying, and they'd only have themselves to blame because they knew it was coming. But we wait and see on that. I mean, to end, I was going to make one last point on this. What was it? Oh yeah, you can do pre-registration for Google Play and Oh, it's saying if you're an iPhone user, stay tuned for more updates. So it looks like maybe it could launch on Google Play first before it launches on iPhone. That would be interesting. Because the other way around,
interesting that
for Pokemon
this. Oh yeah, the fact this is even happening is mad. Because if you remember when Pokemon Go came out, there were so many articles on Facebook and Twitter that were essentially looked like fake news, where it was like Harry Potter Go coming to mobile in 2018.
Yeah,
and it seemed so like it seems such a good fit, but also like such a pipe dream. But the fact that that not only is it happening, but that it's made by the people who make Pokemon Go is bonkers, really.
Yeah, I think the game that I had, Hogwarts Mystery, that was the one where they were doing like they're trying to compare it to Pokemon Go, weren't they, to make it seem like a similar thing, but it wasn't at all. It's not at all. But yeah, I'm really excited for this. There's no details of an actual release date. We just know 2019. And yeah, it looks good. I'm actually very pleased with the stuff they've announced. It looks like it could be enough different to make it interesting and unique in its own way. And Pokemon Go is a big part of my life, I will say. Well, that's a bit sad. It's a big part of my gaming life. So I'm sure if it's the same ilk, the same company, I'm sure Harry Potter will be as well. And obviously, I love anything Harry Potter because it's just great. Harry Potter's just great. Oh, you still there, Chris? Chris, don't do this to me, man. You've gone quiet. I can see you. Oh, yeah. There you go.
I wonder what kind of discussions Niantic have had about how they attract a new audience rather than how they stop the Pokemon Go audience from going over to Harry Potter. Because it's like when you have Currys and PC World on a high street, and you know that people are going to have to go to one or the other, so the same company own both, or whatever the myth is. Like, I wonder how they are making Harry Potter Go feel different enough so that Pokemon Go players won't migrate and never look back. Because Pokemon Go is great, but it's such a different game to how it started.
Yeah, I think there's potentially a bigger, well, this is debatable, bigger fan base for Harry Potter than Pokemon, maybe. I think with Harry Potter, they've got with Pokemon fans, most Pokemon fans, I would say, just to generalize people, are into gaming, are into the games, know what it's all about. With Harry Potter, you're getting a lot of people who potentially aren't really into the gaming side of things. Like, they'll play the casual game on their mobile, but this is probably
Pokemon is a game first and foremost. I think there's a big cultural difference as well, because obviously Pokemon much bigger in Asia, whereas Harry Potter is much bigger in the Western world.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm excited, and of course we'll give you all the latest details as we get any more. But let's move on to some more news. Chris, what else is there? What's going on?
So there's only a couple of little things really to talk about. The first is that Octopath Traveler, the successful Nintendo Switch game, which came out last year, Square Enix have announced that they are working on a sequel. This was in a tweet from Octopath PR, which I have used Google Translate on because it was all written in Japanese. So it's a little bit muddled and a little bit hard to read because obviously translate is not the best. But basically, they basically said, we are working on a console sequel to Octopath. Just give us time, because obviously these things take a long time. And everyone, basically, sorry everyone who's waiting, but it will come eventually. So in the meanwhile, they've decided to announce a new prequel smartphone game, which is set before the events of Octopath Traveler, and it's going to be coming out as a free-to-play single-player RPG. There is a early demo that's being launched in Japan, and it was being distributed at the end of March through to the 2nd of April. You need iOS 10 or an iPhone 7 or Android 6 with 2 gigabytes of RAM. We don't even know if this game is going to come out over here yet, but I mean, you would hope so, because this is a very popular franchise, and it could become a very popular franchise. Right now, it's a very popular game, and I think a free-to-play version that kind of built up hype for a sequel would be a really good idea. So yeah, this is quite big. This is a bit of a surprise as well, especially I really like how they've handled the messaging, which is kind of like, we are working on a sequel, give us a chance. In the meanwhile, here's a little something we've been working on. I think that's a good way to do it, and I really hope the game does come west as well, because I'd really like to play that style of game on my mobile. And the only other little bit of news, Colin, This is a weird one, and I think there's been rumors and stuff. We kind of could have mentioned it last week, but the big reveal happened this week that Nintendo are working on a Labo kit which will allow you to do VR. So it's basically, I would say, now this might not be fair. It looks like, when you used to fold up a cereal box a certain way so that it went over your eyes.
Yeah, I see.
It comes out April the 12th. Simple, friendly fun. There's 3 different sets. One which is a Nintendo Labo VR set with a starter set and a Toy-Con blaster. There's one with a camera and an elephant, and one with a bird and a wind pedal. Or there's one you can get that has all of them in. It looks interesting, I guess. I mean, I don't know how much I would like my eyes to be near that screen at this tiny, tiny distance.
Yeah. I mean, it's the logical next step for Labo. I mean, I'm not surprised they're doing this, but looking at those images, it does look mighty stupid, doesn't it? I mean, that one in the top left, he looks like he's got a massive trunk. The one in the bottom right, that is an actual elephant, and he's holding a trunk. And that one in the bottom left, where there's like a swan, I'm looking at the image that was tweeted by Nintendo America. The kid's looking up that swan's bum.
The one that I think looks really like it could be really good fun is the camera, because I think if you do the camera, you could link it with Pokemon Snap. But I mean, fair play to them for launching it. Labo is probably one of those things that we could have looked at the numbers on this if we were professional games journalists. I think it's one of those things where it's kind of quietly doing quite well, just not with an audience that are very vocal. And fair play to them for continuing to bring out the sets and stuff. And this is a good way of offering something different. I probably won't be buying it.
Yeah, it's not for me either. It's weird. Like, I've not really heard anything about Labo sales. They've not really mentioned anything about that, how well it's done, whether it's been a success or popular. I don't know anyone who owns Labo, but obviously I'm the wrong demographic for it. It's more for younger people and families. So yeah, I mean, this is, as I said, I think this is a logical next step. And it would be interesting to see people do, I'd love to see videos maybe on YouTube or reviewers doing this and playing and seeing how it works. Because it is clever. It's a recyclable medium. It's constructing stuff and it's creative. So it fits the bill for Nintendo. It just looks a bit weird.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how it sells. And if there is an adult, in inverted commas, version of this that's a bit stronger and can be used to play games that aren't necessarily as child focused. Obviously, adults can have fun with this kind of stuff, but you know what I'm getting at. I'm not talking about weird VR stuff like the category on those websites, but I'm just saying, like, there is a version of this which is a toy, and there's a version of this which is a game, and it looks like this is very toy focused, but hopefully a game can come soon.
Yeah. Well, we wait and see. So there you go. That's your lot for this week. It's quite a short episode, no messing, straight in, straight out. And you got your film talk as well.
Bada boom.
Bada bing. Bada boom. And you got your film talk. It's just, we're just too good to you guys. I think. Oh, I saw that Republic Commando, the old Star Wars game, is on Xbox Live for this month. So I'll be playing that. I used to really like that game.
Have you played on your Xbox? Sorry, before you go, have you played Apex Legends?
No, I keep download it and keep forgetting. I also downloaded Tetris on Switch and haven't played that yet. So
cool. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. Have a great week. We'll be back next week as per with episode 249. You can get in touch with us on Twitter at Handheld Podcast, emails heroesofhandheld@gmail.com. Please do send us an email if you want to say hello. We'd love to hear from you. We'd like to know how you think the show's going this year, what types of thing you'd like us to cover more of, less of, what you'd like us to do differently. So do send us an email if you want, heroesofhandheld@gmail.com, or game reviews as well. That's the other thing that we like hearing from you guys, because we can't conceivably play everything that is released on every platform, and we make no bones about that. This is a hobby, this is not a profession. So if you have been playing a game recently and you want to offer a little review, at Handheld Podcast on Twitter or heroesofhandheld@gmail.com. And you can go back and listen to all the old episodes of Heroes of Handheld on our website, heroesofhandheld.wordpress.com. That's where you can read old articles. We put up an article after every episode, which has more kind of further reading links. So you can go and look at those as well if you're so inclined. Colin, have a lovely week. we need to sort out Pokemon Go. You've been really annoying me about that, but
let's do it on it. I can send you a gift right now.
Are you sure?
Yeah, let's do it.
Like a lucky egg.
Yeah, I've got lucky egg.
Right. So wait. Let me grab my phone.
So I thought that was the deal. I thought we were waiting for today. That's why you've been quite slack on the old.
Okay. Sending. Well, I've been slack on sending because I've been trying to time you, sync you up with someone else. So have you got a lucky egg turned on? Because you need to turn it on and then you need to send me the gift.
Not yet. Let's.
Oh, there's a Drowsy here.
I've already got my Drowsy now.
Oh, good boy.
I need to get a Cubone. That's what I need now.
Oh yeah, good luck. Is this for the Meltan quest?
Yeah, no, there actually was one that spawned near my work earlier, but it went too quick. Right, lucky egg is on.
Okay, let me turn my lucky egg on. And then if you send me the gift, I will open it and we will get hundreds of thousands. I'm going to hang up the podcast because this is not very.
Oh, sorry, guys.
Have a good
bye.
Have a good week.
Bye.